The following presentation was made possible by the Alltech Media Group, a Southern California multimedia company providing exponential branding and marketing services to all their clients. The Alltech Media Group understands the value of the 3W strategy, providing their clients proven, trackable results. Let us make it easy for you to grow your business. Visit alltechmedia.com.
Our keynote speaker this morning was appointed as the 9th Chancellor of the University of California, Riverside by the UC Board of Regents on August 8th of 2013. He came to UCR with his wife Diane from Michigan State University, where he served as Provost, Executive Vice President, and Professor of Communicative Services and Disorders. Previously, Chancellor Wilcox served in leadership roles at the University of Kansas and the Kansas Board of Regents. He began his career at the University of Missouri. Chancellor Wilcox is a first-generation college graduate with a bachelor's degree from Michigan State University. He earned a doctorate in speech and learning science from Purdue University. Chancellor Wilcox is deeply committed to supporting scholarly excellence, providing students with access to world-class higher education, and promoting meaningful public engagement. His vision for the campus is focused on reaffirming UCR's state and regional roots while positioning it as a truly global university. Please join me in welcoming the University of California at Riverside Chancellor, Dr. Kim Wilcox.
Thanks, Jack, and thanks to all of you. I want to say thanks to Jack, thanks to Ron, thanks to Cindy, thanks to the entire chamber. As you heard, I've been here about a year now, and it's been just a great year in large measure because of the welcome that I've received from all of you and from the community. It's great to be at the podium and be able to welcome some new people. Congratulations to the Chancellor, to the Superintendent, to the Commander. I'm sure you'll find it, if Scott had walked by my office and asked me the word I would offer is welcoming. That's the defining piece for me in Riverside. And I'm sure you'll find it that way too. It's also nice to be here and be able to introduce some people from the university. There are lots of people I could be introducing from the university, lots of new people. But there's two in particular I'd like to take a moment to introduce to you. The first is our new Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor, Paul Danieri. Paul comes to us from the University of Florida, where he was the Dean of Arts and Sciences there and is a national leader, administratively well recognized. And secondly is Ron Coley. Ron's the new Vice Chancellor for Business and Administrative Services. So Paul's in charge of all the academic operation at the university, all the faculty, all the research, all the teaching, all the core. And Ron's all the support services, the buildings and grounds, the operations of the place. Ron most recently was at the University of California, Berkeley. But for those of you who think I'm a little bit slackered and need some discipline, Ron's a retired lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps. So things will shape up a little bit around the university. I've got 15 minutes, and I'm watching. 15 minutes to talk about the university is impossible. I could take 15 hours. So I'm going to try to do a few things. I want to do a little bit backward-looking, a little bit forward-looking, real quickly. Among the highlights for the last year, Washington Monthly Magazine has us ranked number 2 in the country. Now, yeah, you can always applaud. But I want to go a little deeper into that. There's lots of rankings, and you've read all of them, but most of them are based on a set of traditional measures. And moreover, those traditional measures improve with time. So if you're a university that's 300 or 400 years old, you likely have a bigger endowment because you've saved up money over time. Ironically, if you're an old university and a small one, you turn away a lot of students, and many ranking systems reward you for being, quote, selective, i.e. you don't take many students. Well, Washington Monthly Magazine said, wait a minute, those aren't the important things in universities. The quality of the research programs are important. Your outreach, your service kind of activities are important, and how much difference you make in the lives of students is important. On those three measures, we're number 2 in the country. Don't waste all my time applauding, because I got more. You've heard a lot recently about the Obama administration wanting to crack down on higher education and keep us to task. Time Magazine, their editorial staff, independently said, okay, if what's important in higher education is affordability, that is, can people actually afford to go to the university, accessibility, the breadth of types of students you enroll, and graduation rates, whether or not students actually succeed, those are probably the numbers we should look at. So the editorial board at Time went to existing databases, gathered those data, created a website. And the website is one where you can, if you think graduation rate's more important, you can slide that up on the scale and slide down affordability. You can kind of adjust them. But when the screen pops up, equally rated, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, number 1 in the country, University of California, Riverside. Yeah. Again, makes me happy. So what I'm saying is we may not be on some people's radar screens historically, but we're a meteor on the rise. We're at the right place at the right time. And I have been, you've heard me many times over the year talk about how grateful I am. Most of this I didn't do. I've only been here a year. All of you did it. But it's been a great honor for me to be part of kind of leading the charge now and making this even more visible. At the core of the university, we're a research university. National rankings, again, are oftentimes heavily prejudiced by perception. If you go to international rankings that are much more objective, one is in Holland, the Leiden University ranking, that looks at the quality and amount of research per faculty member. So great big universities don't get a big advantage. We're 35th in the world in the quality of our research. 35th in the world. Part of our challenge is we haven't been big enough. And that's why you've probably read, I'm suggesting we're going to add, not suggesting, but we're going to add 300 new faculty members to our university over the next 5 years. We're very, very good. We just haven't been quite big enough. For those of you who are interested in more magazines by science, Popular Science this month, September, there's a 2-page spread, beautiful big blue color pages on CSERT. So we're in the news there. But most importantly, Sierra Magazine, recent edition, has now the University of California, Riverside, for the 3rd year in a row, on its list of coolest universities. So we're a cool university in a cool city. I could go on, but let me just give you a few highlights. Since July 1, I couldn't do a whole year, since July 1, we received a $12 million grant, one of only 20 in the country, from the Department of Energy. And this is to look at trying to make computer chips more energy efficient. For those of you who spend time building rooms for computers, you know how much energy they suck, both in air conditioning as well as electricity themselves. So a basic piece of the 21st century economy is chip efficiency. We're at the cutting edge at UCR. A $7.5 million grant to study how nature can tell us and improve our understanding of materials in the world, looking at spider silk, looking at abalone shells, and learning from their design and innovation in ways that we can do synthetic versions of the same. $1 million just to upgrade our computer system, so it'll run about 1,000 times faster than the systems that you're used to in your offices. And, of course, since July 1, we welcomed our 2nd set of students into our medical school. But rather than dwell on the past, let me talk about the future a little bit. 300 new faculty members. To give you scale, we have about 670 core faculty at the university right now. So 300 is almost a 50% increase. It's a transformational time in our university. And if you marry that with the usual number of people who will likely retire or resign during that period of time, it'll be a huge change in the composition of the faculty, which are the core of our university. That means we can now stop and think about what areas of academic strength are going to be important to us in the coming century. Where are there places where our community, our state, our nation, the world could use our help where we haven't been strong enough? Are there places where we have a distinct advantage, and there are several on our campus, that we can now grow at an even faster rate and be a national player, international player in ways that we never could have before. What does this mean in terms of course availability? Something that's been in the press a lot in California across all of our higher education systems. This is a chance for us to rethink the roles of faculty in the educational process, yes, in typical lectures and discussion sessions, but more broadly, the role of education. One of the facts I'm most proud of at the UCR is that at graduation, our seniors report back that over half of them have been involved in faculty-led research. What that means is students don't come to UCR, sit in class, take notes, pass their classes, and go home. They come and become part of the learning creation process. Skills that will serve them through life, but more importantly, an understanding of the information at a very basic level. Not just the summaries that professors provide, but actually in the labs, in the libraries, doing and learning themselves, creating knowledge that will affect your life, even as a student. That transformation, or that activity rather, will be transformed as we add 300 new faculty to the campus. Part of Paul's responsibility, and something he's been working at, Paul and Ron have been on the duty for 6 weeks, July 1, both of them. Part of Paul's activities have been thinking about how to decide where to put these faculty members. That process will start in earnest once the school year starts back up in the fall, but we're already starting to plan our future in terms of these faculty. Another key part of our future is our physical space. We have a beautiful campus. I've been a little critical, though, about the fact that it's a beautiful campus, but we've turned our backsides to the world. There's a wall along one side, loading docks around the other sides. You got to get into it to appreciate it. We're gonna think differently about our physical space and how it presents itself to the world and how we open ourselves to the community. We're going to think differently about the placement of buildings on the campus and think quite differently about our physical space. As part of that, we have begun a long-range development planning process that will be a 2 or 3 year process, and many of you in the room, some of you have already been part of the conversations, many of you will be before this is done, to talk about UCR, Riverside, and how the pieces fit together, because our future is big and bright ahead of us. But I appreciated Jack's comments, flattering as they were. I came here a year ago and everyone said, it's the community, it's the community, it's the community. At UCR, it's the community. And I now appreciate what they meant by that. It's the nature of the people and the supportive nature of the people and the welcoming aspect. But it's also the fact that we have been living the promise for 60 years. And our promise was that we would be a world-class university. We would be as good as MIT and Cambridge and Oxford, but we would be of the fabric of the place. We would make sure we were still part of the community, not just in terms of being buddies, but more importantly in terms of the questions that we asked, the students we enrolled, and the work that we did. We're still going to do that. But at the same time, for us to be a world-class university, we have to play in the world. And that's another big jump we're about to take. Paul, again, just recruited our first ever Vice Provost for International Affairs. We have an opportunity, as we think about the 21st century, to think pretty strategically about our role in the 21st century. I'm not keen to go out and make connections with all kinds of universities in all kinds of countries so we can travel back and forth and have, banquets and things. I'm much more interested in thinking about the University of California, Riverside, thinking about Southern California, and what parts of the world would benefit from our knowledge, number one, and what parts of the world could help us, number two. Those are the places I want to go have conversations. I want to meet with mayors, I want to meet with chancellors, I want to meet with faculty members. I want to talk to them about building a future that is a University of California node in a bigger international hub. That's our strategy. Bringing in someone to lead that effort, we're recruiting right now, and then hiring faculty around a different future allows us to think of UCR as a bridge between the inland Southern California region and the rest of the world. Needless to say, we're excited about what we're doing at UCR. The most important piece, and I have to end with this, is what we have in terms of our students. Diane isn't here this morning, but those of you who know my wife, she says, we don't have any children, but if we did, they'd go to UCR. When our nieces and nephews ask us where to go to school, it's UCR. Diane says, every student I meet more articulate than the last one. But that in itself is striking. The important numbers to remember is over half of our students at UCR are first-generation college students. Over half of our students at UCR receive Pell Grants from the federal government, which is basically the cut line. It's the equivalent of free and reduced lunch in schools. Pell Grants are the cut for higher education. Over half of them. You know, over 80% of our students are students of color. And remember, over half of them are involved in world-class research. This is a place where regular people, people with ability, not people with heritage and rich parents, but people with ability, can come and participate in some of the best research and education in the world. It's a true gem. I am, after 1 year, prouder than I was a year ago when I stood here to be part of not just UCR, but part of this Riverside community and what it has done for the nation. One quick testimonial. I was just chatting with our superintendent for the county and talking about our visibility in DC. I was meeting with the Undersecretary of Education for the nation about a month ago when he looked at me and said, what we want to do here at the Department of Education is clone what you're doing in UCR and spread it around the country. That statement, that statement again is a testament to all of you. I know so many of you and how you have created a university and nurtured a university over all these years, and I want to thank you for that and want you to know that people around the country are recognizing it, and moreover, we're going to continue to make sure that people recognize all that we are doing and all that we will do. Thanks so much for the time, and again, thanks to the Chamber for making this my new home.